Today we are going to talk about finding lengths of missing sides using our trig ratios. And I've got a reminder down here of what our trig ratios are for sine, cosine, and tangent. You could use secretary to remember it. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now, these opposite and adjacent sides depend on which angle is theta in this, which one we're actually going to be using in the trig function. So we've got to kind of go through and identify that so we can identify sides and pick the right trig function first. So only angle we're given other than the 90. Now these formulas only work in 90-degree right triangles. So that means you've got to have a right angle in this thing to make it work. So 42 degrees is going to be our theta. Now what that means is this side that I don't know right here, this is the adjacent, because it is next to that angle. And I'm going to highlight that angle so we can see that. The angle is this part right here that we're measuring. It's made up of two sides. One of them has to be the hypotenuse, which is the longest side across from the 90. The other side that makes up the angle that we call theta is the adjacent, because it is next to the angle. That means the 15 is the opposite because it is across from the angle. So this wants us to find the hypotenuse, and we're given the opposite. So the question we have to ask ourselves is which function uses opposite and hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So the answer to this question, of course, is sine does. So that means that we are going to transform this information into the sine. So this is sine of our angle, and our angle is 42 degrees. And that's going to equal the opposite, which is 15, over the hypotenuse, which is x. Now we need to solve for this x. Now remember, sine of 42 is a value. We can find that by plugging that into our calculator if our calculator is in degrees mode, or if Desmos is in degree mode, and I did a short video about that before. So we can treat this any other way. So we need to get rid of this x on the bottom. How do you get rid of the x on the bottom? I don't like fractions. So let's make fractions disappear. We're going to multiply both sides by x and get x times the sine of 42 degrees is equal to 15. Now I want x by itself, and we said this is just a number. Divide that back to the other side. So we get x is actually equal to 15 divided by whatever the sine of 42 degrees is. Now that's something that we can just plug into the calculator and find our answer. So we're going to go 15, and we're going to divide that by sine of 42. Make sure your mode is in degrees, ladies and gentlemen. And I get 22.4. And there's no lengths given with that, no units of measure, so that's all there is to it. All right, same thing for this one down here. Now notice this one's just kind of oriented differently, but this can be our theta, meaning when I said oriented differently, right angle's in a different spot, so always find the right angle. But this is our theta, so that means that this 15 over here, this is the adjacent. That means the x is the opposite, and this side that we don't know anything about is the hypotenuse. So the one we're given to find and the one we know, adjacent and opposite. Which function deals with adjacent and opposite? Well, sine is opposite hypotenuse. We don't know the hypotenuse. Adjacent hypotenuse. We don't know the hypotenuse. Opposite over adjacent. And those are the two things we're looking for. And that's tangent. So that means we're going to use tangent for this one. So tangent of our angle that we're given, that's 38 degrees. And this is opposite over adjacent. So the opposite is the missing part, is the x. The adjacent is the 15. Whenever you start with these things, get rid of the fraction, okay? So to get rid of this fraction, that 15 is going to multiply over. Up here we had to multiply the x over. This time we just have to multiply the 15. So we're going to get 15 times tangent of 38 degrees. And look, the x is all by itself. So that means we can just plug this in and find its answer. So I'm just going to make it so we can put a box around it over here. So 15 times the tangent of 38 is 11.7, which makes sense. And that's our answer there. That's all there is to it. Reach out, let me know if you need help. Bye, guys.